Kara Beth Borden and her 18-year-old boyfriend led police on a high-speed, long-distance chase of cat and mouse, all the while her own parents dead. And can the long arm of the law reach Michael Jackson? He's moving to Bahrain. And we are live tonight at the Carly Brucia death penalty trial. Good evening, everybody. I'm Nancy Grace. I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Tonight, the Florida man on trial for the kidnap, assault, and murder of 11-year-old Carly Brucia confronted with damning DNA evidence in court. And tonight, after beating child molestation charges, Michael Jackson's reportedly moving to Bahrain. But why? First tonight, breaking news. 18-year-old David Ludwig captured after reportedly gunning down his 14-year-old girlfriend's parents in cold blood. Is 14-year-old Kara Beth Borden a kidnapped victim or an accomplice to murder?
The defendant, David Ludwig, has been charged with 2 counts of criminal homicide, 1 count of kidnapping, 1 count of recklessly endangering another person. We have every reason to believe at this point in time with the evidence through the course of the investigation this was premeditated, deliberate, intentional.
Straight out to police reporter Brett Lovelace. Brett, thank you for being with us. Bring us up to date, friend.
Right now, Nancy, that the authorities in Indiana, the state police, have both David Ludwig and the 14-year-old in custody, and there's investigators en route here from Lancaster County to Indiana to take custody of those individuals.
What has become of the girl, Kara Beth Borden?
She's being held right now in the same state police barrack in Indiana with Mr. Ludwig. They're separated, of course, but they are being held there, waiting for the authorities to arrive.
Brett, what can you tell me about the kidnap and the double murder?
The kidnapping and double murder, everything started to unfold yesterday, 8 a.m. inside the home here in Warwick Township. Mr. Ludwig was summoned there. He had been out all night with the Kara Borden. He dropped her off. They returned at 8 a.m. and there was a confrontation. He shot both of Kara's parents. Then they fled out of the property in a Volkswagen. It took about 2 hours before police cleared the house and determined they were gone. And then at that point was when this massive manhunt had unfolded.
So Brett, explain to me, did the father, was he angry because he had kept the 14-year-old girl out all night?
Yes, there were questions about why they had been out all night. There was some tension among the family. They felt like he was too old to be dating a 14-year-old. He had 18, she was 14. They just were uncomfortable with the relationship, and there had been ongoing problems.
Take a listen to what police had to say.
Prior to that Amber Alert being put out, sometime before noon this afternoon, troopers Cox and Furness observed the suspect vehicle on I-70 westbound, just west of Indianapolis, and they attempted to stop the vehicle, and there was a pursuit after that time. The pursuit ended in the area of State Road 39 and US 40. Mr. Ludwig was taken into custody, and Kara Borden was also recovered unharmed. Because she is a 14-year-old, as you're aware, there has to be a responsible adult in Indiana for us to do any questioning with her. She has not been questioned, and ultimately she will be going back to Pennsylvania, and whatever the processes they have, they will follow there. I can tell you that she suffered no physical harm and that she is alive and well at this time.
I'm going to go straight out to Sergeant Ray Poole, the PIO with the Indiana State Police. When and how were the two spotted in the Indianapolis area?
Believe it or not, they were located by truck drivers and tips. One of the local radio stations here in Indianapolis put out an Amber Alert and basically said that the vehicle was spotted in the Indianapolis area, and just where Bellevue is, which is like 30 miles west of Indianapolis. And there was an off-duty trooper in that location, in the area of State Road 39 and I-70, and happened to locate that same vehicle, which Trooper Cox, who was mentioned in the interview, as he said that the information was being put out in dispatch, Trooper Cox saw the car pass right by him going the opposite direction on westbound 70, and that's when he pursued, notified one of his other colleagues, Trooper Furness, and they gave chase to the suspect vehicle.
Sergeant Poole, explain to me your knowledge of what these two were like when they were apprehended.
Well, I was at the scene, and not probably 10 minutes after or so, and the young man, he was just like any typical 18-year-old kid. I mean, unenthused, and of course he knew he was in trouble because he just fled the police. But the young girl struck me as any typical 14-year-old girl you would pass in the hallway of a school. You know, she was upset, she was scared, she was shaking, and what struck me is she was like a typical kid. She had braces on her teeth, so it wasn't like she was to my appearance, didn't like she was a battered child or an unhappy child. It just looked like she was a typical kid that got herself into some trouble.
Got herself into some trouble. Her parents are shot dead back at the homestead. Was she crying? Was she screaming? Was she hysterical? Did she run from the car?
No, she basically walked back to the back of the car when our officers pursued and got the vehicle stopped. And she obviously was upset. She was crying, but she was not hysterical, I was going to say, but she was upset.
Elizabeth, leave that map up for one moment. Sergeant Poole, how in the heck did these two manage to make it from near Philadelphia all the way to Indianapolis? There was an Amber Alert out for the car.
There was an Amber Alert out. They come into the state of Indiana near the Fort Wayne area, which is northeast of Indianapolis, and about an hour or so, hour and a half north of Indianapolis. And we had gotten reports that they were at a particular truck stop in the Fort Wayne area, and we sent officers to that spot. And by the time we arrived, they were gone. So we did put out a dispatch notifying other police agencies and other state police agencies that we may possibly have a lead on the suspect vehicle.
Thank God for Amber Alert, right?
I'm sorry?
Thank God for Amber Alert.
You know what? The Amber Alert system did work. It was a nationwide system, and I remember seeing it last night sometime yesterday evening before I went to bed. And, you know, you always listen. Being a police officer, you kind of listen to those things, but you never know. It's like almost like a needle in a haystack. And for our troopers and for people to really pay attention to those Amber Alerts, it's a credit to everyone, because those Amber Alerts are just extra eyes and ears for us law enforcement people.
Back to police reporter Brett Lovelace. Brett, I've got reports tonight that these two actually stopped along the way at a Subway sandwich shop for a little Italian special. True, false?
That's true. They stopped at a subway station, and they also stopped at an ATM in western Pennsylvania on the way to Indiana. And that is the source of where the erroneous report for the Amber Alert was made. An attendant there in the restaurant, I thought they saw these individuals in the restaurant. The Amber Alert was updated. Then a matter of 20 minutes later, they were captured in Indiana. So clearly that report was wrong.